I always recommend having a lighter on you as part of even pocket EDC. I actually, as you know, I have it in my keychain, a lighter as well. I think that it's important because the lighter, in spite of all these other ways of starting fires, like fire seals and such, becoming so popular, and they have their advantages, of course, for some wilderness survival scenarios where you're going to be starting many fires maybe, or the gear on you is going to be getting wet. In spite of all that, a lighter is always the fastest, most efficient way of having a flame right there to start a fire. You don't have to start striking steel, using tinder and such. The lighter is the easiest way, of course. Now, having said that, lighters are a little bit more complex. Mechanically speaking, they have a few more parts. Even a simple lighter like this one, the Clipper lighter, which I really like, has a small flint in there, a striker in the form of a wheel, and you have some flammable material. In this case, it's going to be the gas that comes out of the lighter. The more complex it is, the more likely it is to break. That's the general rule of thumb that guides all our decisions in terms of survival and preparedness equipment. The more complex it is, the more likely it is to have problems. So that's why you try to avoid it as much as possible, unless you start compromising, seriously losing some possibilities there. In this case, we were talking about the turbo jet lighters. It's sometimes called in Spanish they're called encendedores catalíticos. In English, I've seen it called as jet lighters. Lighters that basically have a piezoelectric igniting system and have a wire in there that you see it getting red on the inside. These are pretty nice because the flame actually heats up to about 1400 degrees Fahrenheit. It's pretty hot, and the nice thing about that is that you can use it for melting plastics, melting ends of ropes, cutting through stuff with a flame, melting even aluminum. Or when I was little, I would melt those lead pellets of air rifles. I've actually used this lighter for that. A small lead pellet, just put it in there and it melts it. That's kind of hard to do with a normal lighter. Actually, it's even impossible with this little flame approaching it and like that, trying to melt metal. It is quite a bit of a challenge. Besides that, something like this is better for lighting materials in more challenging conditions when it's wet and such. So I really like the idea of the jet lighter. The jet lighter, I think, is fantastic, but it has that weakness, and it goes about this way. I haven't found one yet that is 100% reliable. I mean, they all eventually break. I suppose it's because of this, because of that thin wire that they have on the inside. And don't get me wrong, they can be repaired. It is not the easiest thing in the world, but they can be repaired. And this one, I've had it for, man, yeah, absolutely, over 20 years. Over 20 years old. This one in particular, this used to be, well, this is still Ronson, is it called? Brand lighter, which is a good brand of lighters. Back in the day, I didn't know that, and stupid me, I removed that, thinking, oh, it's Ronson. I didn't like the way it was written, so I just scrapped it off or something, and it seems that the metal beneath is like copperish of some sort. But this lighter is still working. Not only that, this lighter kept its charge for decades, and that's fantastic. That's actually pretty neat. And it's not most of them that are this reliable. In general, they fail sooner rather than later. In general, most jet lighters last a few months, a year if lucky. After that, they start breaking. And the more I looked into it, the more I read reviews, watched YouTube videos. Not so much YouTube videos, because sometimes in those you see stuff that hasn't been tested that much. In some of the in some of the reviews you see of the written ones where these lighters have been tested for more time, the truth comes out pretty soon. They break, and they break often. So it's rare to find one that hasn't got that problem. I assume that these are going to be breaking eventually, and you know what? I assume it's going to be breaking when I need it the most. So even if you go with a jet lighter as part of your EDC, I hope you're not smoking, but if you smoke, or if you are like me that in spite of not smoking, you want to have a lighter because you appreciate how useful it is to have a way of starting a fire, a way of having a flame right at your disposition. If you appreciate that, still have a backup for it. Still have a backup in a way of in a form that's more reliable than the simple jet lighter. Now, as I was reading, saying, okay, let's suppose I'm looking for the best possible jet lighter. There has to be something out there that if I pay enough money, I'm getting something that is superb, that it's above the rest. Unfortunately, I can't say I have found it yet. I know there's some nice brands. There's Colibri, there's Silva, there's Delta. All these like hurricane lighters, storm lighters that have a very nice plastic casing. As soon as you start reading the reviews of those, you find out that most people are pretty much disappointed. They don't like the results they're getting. If you go into Amazon, I use Amazon a lot, not only because I have the Associates program in my website where people buy stuff from Amazon through it. I also like that you have the reviews that people make. You know, that's at the end of the day, that's what matters the most. When you have 5-star review or 4-star review, and you have quite a bit of those, and those are always positive, and there's rarely a lemon around there, that's good stuff. That's what matters to me. And all these fancy, survival lighters, windmill lighter, Colibri, Delta, whatever, most of these, and you can verify this yourself easily, they have pretty bad reputations. I'm talking about 3 stars, almost as much as 1 stars as 5 stars, or around those numbers. Not very impressive, not something that you would be looking forward to much. Now, I was pleasantly surprised when I found this lighter here having great reviews. I think it's 4.5 stars in Amazon.co.uk and about 55 reviews. That's a pretty good number, 55 reviews, and with that amount of reviews, 4 or 4.5 stars, that's good. To make it even more of a deal, it's costing about $3.95 in pounds. That's like $6, give or take. So it's under $10 and has better reviews than the stuff that costs 4, 5, 6 times as much. So immediately I went, yes, sure. I bought a couple, and I'm probably gonna be buying another one. Let's first look at what it says on the outside. Firewire classic lighter. Sure, Firewire windproof technology. It has I think it's platinum or something like that. A little wire in there that gets all red. Powerful windproof lighter. Windproof Firewire technology. Refillable lighter, gas, no petrol, mess or smell. I've seen this brand around a few times, and they make all sorts of little things, but nothing too impressive, to be honest. I've seen it around a few times, and I'm really not impressed. These flashlights with 1,000 little LEDs, I know that's not quality stuff. The knives, they don't seem that good, or those little multi-tools that they have. But the lighter, I never paid much attention until I saw those reviews. Until I saw 50-something reviews, most of them pretty positive. Now, I'm always pretty skeptic. Even if I see good reviews on something, there's people that have there's companies that have a reputation for paying for those reviews themselves. If you go, for example, to Deal Extreme, you will see many of those 5-star reviews that are actually by the same people selling it. So I always tend to distrust. So even though it was enough for me to pull the trigger on it, especially that many reviews, and it wasn't that expensive, so I just got 2 of them. I was still not completely convinced. But as soon as I started trying it, I'm starting to become a believer. So, True Utility, Firewire, Classic, here's 1300 degrees centigrade, windproof, gasproof, supposed to work well also in high altitudes. There's actually a review of a guy that went to Chile and tried it out, and it worked well there in much greater altitude. Windproof firewire lighter, refillable. It comes without gas, guys. That's something that you have to keep in mind because of, I think it's because of transportation restrictions. These are not allowed to be shipped with gas, so you have to get a little bottle of it and fill it yourself when you receive it. High altitude working valve, piston hinged, and the website. Something that we're seeing more and more these days. This is designed in UK, made in China. More and more you see stuff designed in USA, made in China. You know, sometimes it's still good stuff, and I think in this case it is. It has like a piston here, which makes for a very solid locking. It is kind of hefty, has a little bit of weight about it. Has the little True Utility logo that it's, you know, it's not very impressive, but yeah, so far, I mean, it has been working surprisingly well so far. You know, using it quite a bit, clicking on it on the piezoelectric system. So far, I'm liking it a lot. It is very solidly made. That's something that I have to say about it. Very solid construction. Maybe a little bit too heavy. I'm not much of a complainer in that department, but you know, it's something that you notice. But it comes along with a very strong, solid construction. This is all metal, very thick. Even keeping it in your back pocket, sitting on it. I don't know how long has it been. Maybe like a week of carrying it around and trying to click on it and use it as much as possible, even with just, you know, just doing that with no reason. Still working very well. It has, you can regulate this for more or less flame. This is like the maximum output. Yeah, pretty happy with it. Here you have some reading material, some advertising of what's also out there. These guys like bring stuff from China. That's what I'm seeing here. All these little things that honestly I don't care much for them. A small light with a little, yeah, nothing too impressive, nothing to brag about really. They do have a little peanut lighter actually, which is this model right here. A peanut lighter, which I'm supposing it's pretty good for what you're paying for it. It's not as nice as my titanium peanut lighter, but still. And it does come with a 1-year warranty. That's actually pretty neat, because most of these things that are so cheap, generally you're not getting much of a warranty. A year warranty for this kind of jet lighter, that's, you know, yeah, it's not a lifetime warranty or anything like that, but it's still pretty decent, especially for the price you're paying. And you know, if it didn't break in a year, you know, there's a good chance it's going to be giving you a couple more years of service if it didn't come with any particular defect to begin with. So yes, guys, absolutely. I haven't tested it honestly enough to be 100% supporting it and recommending. But if you're looking for actually a very cheap, because yeah, under 10 bucks, $6, that's what I paid for it. For $6, 1-year warranty, actually pretty good, pretty sweet reviews. It is definitely something to consider and keep in mind. I think they have like a gunmetal finish option as well, not as like this chrome bright finish, which I'm not that fond of. So that may be an option. That's a possibility. The gunmetal gray finish. But yeah, nice piezoelectric lighter, and it has been lasting quite a bit in spite of me messing around with it pretty often. Nice solid flame, and they click that piston that it has there, clicks nicely into place. Folks, that's all for now. Trying to keep it as short as possible, but still letting you guys know about something that I found that I think could be of interest to you. Take care, have a great day, see you on our next video.